Hi everyone, and welcome to this new episode of Women in Blockchain and AI. Today I have the pleasure to meet Isabell Moessler with us. Isabel, I met Isabel when I visited London a few months ago, and I attended the Financial Times Summit, and we met during lunchtime, and we had those great conversations about Web3, blockchain, AI, and then we had other women around the table, and it became very fascinating. And today I have the pleasure of hosting you, Isabel, and getting to know you better. So I would like you to introduce yourself a little and tell us how have you launched IMC Consult?
Thank you so much. And it's such a pleasure to be on your podcast. And the feeling is mutual. Like we met at lunch and it was just so fascinating and loved hearing your story as well. And yeah, and it's an honor to be here and really a pleasure to continue our conversation. And how did I launch IMC Consult? That's a really good question because it's been quite a journey. So this has been a recent change in my career. And this is now my own company. So now I'm fully a founder and CEO of my consultancy. But how did I get here? Because I never thought of myself as an entrepreneur. So I was always I actually, when I think about it, I've always worked in entrepreneurial parts of companies, but it was like sort of in a new business area, but within a big organization. So it was kind of, I guess, the best of both worlds. You had the new idea and the innovation, but at the same time you had the safety net, if you will, of a big organization. But one example is when I joined iShares. So at the time, iShares, the big ETF provider in Europe, ETFs weren't really a thing. And within, at the time, iShares was part of Barclays Global Investors. Um, even within that setup, in the US, it was already very well established. In Europe, it was a new thing. It was a new idea. And internally, we were the people sort of in the corner with the funky marketing and, didn't quite fit within the very more traditional, very serious asset management business. So I really think this is the bit which attracted me. And then fast forward about 20 years, here I am running my own company now, but it's been building blocks and it's really been testing it out. And it was interesting when I left my last role at 21 Shares and, trying to figure out what am I going to do next. People and friends in the industry gave me their feedback. They're like, yeah, but why don't you do this yourself? And when the first person said it, I'm like, well, no, I'm fine. I'll see what other organizations I can join. But, when the second and third person tells you this, like, maybe I should spend more time thinking about it. And yeah, here we are.
Here we
It's
are, indeed. Yes. So it's quite a journey to get there and to be able to set up
mm.
your own company with confidence, right?
Indeed. And you know what strikes me sometimes now when at networking events or I go to some of the startup events in London more to meet people and to get ideas or also see, who could use my experience. And I love meeting people much younger, either straight out of university or even, still in school, but with a brilliant idea. And they really, this is what they want to do. They really have the confidence and really say like, right, of course I'm going to start my own business. Why would I work for anybody else? And this is nothing that I ever thought about or that came natural to me, but with it's sort of you need to go through different paths and explore and then just figure out what's right for you.
Indeed, no, it's great. I'm very happy to hear that you made that step and now you have your own consultancy. I just want to go a little bit back on your experience and journey at 21 Shares and
Mhm.
ask you if you can share a little bit from that experience, why you joined them. And why you you joined them and what did you learn from that experience with them?
So it's a fantastic company. I mean, 21 Shares, I joined when it really was in early days. We were all together in an office in Zurich, and it was the energy. It was really stepping away from a big corporate structure to right. Let's roll up our sleeves. Let's make this happen. And I came on board and I joined the team there with a mandate to build the sales team, so sales, marketing, capital markets, were all new functions because it was the founders or the co-founders, Hani and Ophelia, fantastic people with a clear vision where they want to take the business. And then they brought people in order to execute. So this is what we did. It was full on. It was at times chaotic, I'm not going to lie, but this is the beauty of, just making it work
Yes.
and really seeing the impact of your work. Sometimes when you work in big companies, the immediate impact is not visible. Here, unless you do it, there's nobody else to do it. So, it was really exhilarating and it gives you a lot of energy to see the result. Of course, it was also super hard work.
Yes.
We went through some crazy periods within the crypto space, Luna, FTX, all of those good things. And, here being on the sales side and very externally facing in front of clients who were, skeptical to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And then, something like this happened. But again, it was tough. It was tough sometimes also to, really make sure everybody in the team is on board and we're, explaining, are we affected? Are we not affected? What happened? But it gives you such a lot of credibility with clients. So we almost doubled down. We said, right, this is the time now. We need to be in front of clients, regulators, all of our partners to, first of all, explain, right, we're not affected. This didn't happen by accident. This was planning. This is because we know what we're doing in this space. Um, and, because you also mentioned, like, what have I learned in that journey? Apart from, it really matters who you have on the team. In
Mm-hmm.
the early days, it is very much about mindset. And I mean, it's always about mindset, but even then, you need people who are with you on that journey. But then as the business grows up, things also change and you need to adapt. And you need to adapt, first of all, your operational setup. You need to adapt I don't know, little things like internal communication. And it seems, well, as I say, little or negligible. It doesn't. If you're 20 people in a room, conversations and information flows naturally. If all of a sudden you have three offices and 100 people, you really need to make a conscious effort. So putting those right mechanisms in place where on the one hand you don't want to lose your entrepreneurial spirit, on the other hand you do have to become a bit more structured and organized. It also affects people personally because you have some people who are, they just want to do startup world.
Yes.
They don't want, even if you then introduce more of the HR procedures and do quarterly business reviews or performance reviews, people are like, oh my God, I don't want that. And they really choose of like, we become into institutionalized. I don't want to be part of that journey. And you need to be aware of it because everybody, of course, makes their own decision. So my biggest learning of coming through that journey is how to grow up with your business. There's a fantastic problem in inverted commas to have because it shows you're successful, it shows the business is growing, but you need to be super aware and prepared to deal with it. It takes away sometimes from your execution time, but it's time very well invested and time spent with your team, with the people, making sure you bring them along on the journey and set things up so you can actually scale the business. Because at the end of the day, unless you're just running, I don't know, trading algorithms or something, very technical, which doesn't really involve too many people, yeah, you need to dedicate the time.
And do you think that it's more challenging to handle due to the instability and volatility of the space?
Um, Yes, because and you're familiar with this kind of joke, and it's a bit corny, but one year in crypto is like 7 years in traditional finance. It's like dog years because there's so much happening. There's so much on a day-to-day basis, changing in terms of regulation, in terms of trading volumes, in terms of innovation. So, and it's 24/7. It really is. So even if you want to say, oh, it's Friday afternoon now and we can all take it easy, never. It's just constant. And that takes a certain skill set because you
Mhm.
need time to step away. You need to
Yes.
um, remove yourself, touch grass, see the sunshine. Um, so because it's early days, sometimes people say, oh, it's becoming a lot more institutionalized, and this is true, and this is also a good thing in my opinion. Um, but yeah, it is full on. But I also want to say sometimes we get too wrapped up in it. So
Mhm.
if there's a day of maybe no news or no chaos and no people get restless. I'm sure you have the same. You speak to so many people in the industry when they're like, oh, it's boring, there's nothing happening. Or even for us on the sales side, the clients are in some cases big organizations. Stuff happens very slowly. To get an approval to buy a product takes months. This is not what anybody in crypto wants to hear. It's like months. We don't even know where we're going to be.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, I don't know. And I think it's a bit on both sides. So maybe calm down a bit from the crypto perspective and speed things up a bit from a more TradFi perspective. But
Indeed,
yeah,
and this
it's
is something that I wanted to ask you. So, for being a bridge between TradFi and DeFi and crypto space digital assets, what are you currently most excited about in those industries?
I'm most excited about that there is a big focus now on just user friendliness
Yeah,
because I really think this is something if we look at mass adoption and if we look at easy access and I'm a true believer in the benefits of having things on chain and tokenization on assets and everything, but it needs to be more user friendly, especially and that there's a lot happening. So you have like smart wallets is for example one thing where we've made huge leaps. Yeah, you still in some cases need to manage and fiddle around with your passwords and when you speak to people who are very sort of the purists, it's like yes, but this is how it should be. Yes, but keep in mind most users are not technologists, cryptographers,
yeah,
and so I really think we need to keep that in mind. So even to buy and sell crypto assets, to provide access to, and there's so many use cases, and
yeah,
sometimes we only pigeonhole ourselves more in on the investing side, but if it is more in case of in the UK here, benefits payments or real estate or anything like that, that just needs to be easy. We only use our phone every day. Do I really know how the Android operating system works? No. Do I want to know? No. But it just needs to work. And I really think this is what we're working towards in crypto as well. So of course it needs to be safe. It needs to be um, keep the data safe and everything, but it also needs to be easy to use. We all get so impatient, now you tap your phone, it needs to happen with like one click.
yes,
And if that's not the case, and this is, I think, why for some people there's such a mystery around crypto because the user friendliness in the past has not been there. And
yeah.
people look at a screen and say, what do I do with this now? I don't trust myself, even writing down 21 random words on a bit of paper. It's like, really? This is supposed to be the future. So, yeah.
And do you
But
think
we're
then that an everyday user will be truly understanding that he's buying tokenized assets in a short time frame? like shortly?
Um, Maybe a question back. Do they need to know it's
Mm-hmm.
tokenized? Or do I want to just get the exposure?
Yeah.
And it's maybe a bit or a philosophical question, but when you go and log into your account, whatever brokerage account you use, and then you buy one Microsoft share, um, all you want to know is like enter the amount or enter the monetary value. You click on it, and then you see the share appears in your account. Do you know what's going on in the background? Like who executes the trade, the clearinghouse, the settlement, or you don't really, and you don't need to or want to. Um, I think with crypto, because a lot of it is still very hands-on, or you need to make sure and type in the right addresses and make sure there are no errors. So I think it's more going to be in that way. You want the exposure and you want the speed of execution. Of course, another benefit is it's 24/7. You can express your views immediately. Um, so people will get the use cases and the benefits. And then I guess it's kind of our job, and there's people a lot smarter than me working on these solutions to make that happen. Will somebody say, I really want exposure via a tokenized asset? Some do for sure. Others are like, well, if that one Microsoft share, if it's an equity traded on the NYSE, or I get it in tokenized form on a decentralized exchange, as long as it's the same exposure, it's probably cheaper to get the execution on the DEXs rather than going the traditional route.
And do you think that it would be a criteria for the user to know that he will be able on decentralized exchange to own his investment? Because tokenized assets will be available also on centralized platform, are available on centralized platform. So is it like an argument for users to own their investment?
Um, it's again comes and that really comes down to education, and I'm sort of contradicting myself saying, okay, people need to learn about it, where first I said, most people don't want to know about it. Um, I I don't know. It also depends on what are you comfortable with.
Yes.
If you look at it, I think it's especially dominant in Europe, where people or financial literacy is really shocking. And this is just the traditional world, never mind crypto. So, do people really take an active interest in investing or looking after their finances, or
Mm.
um, being engaged with that? Or do some people still think, oh, I just give it to my bank and do whatever, or just put it in a savings account and I get minimal interest? So that then takes it or adds another chapter on this financial literacy. What I'm really hopeful though is, it's going to be more of a generational shift. You see young
Okay.
people, they or me included, you live so much of your life online where it's just natural. You want to do stuff on your phone and you get your information, and you're a lot more savvy. And there, people are much more open to crypto.
Yes.
I think I told you this at lunch when I gave sort of a talk at my son's school, when they said, okay, you bring your parents in and you talk about what you do for a living. And at the time I was working at 21 Shares. And I asked the class, and this is year five, this is kind of 10, 11-year-olds. And I spoke to them about crypto and different tokens and Bitcoin. These guys knew about it. And and they ask really smart questions, where sometimes I thought, oh my God, I wish my institutional investors would be so knowledgeable about this. So I really think with these group of people coming, becoming adults and having to look after their investments and worry about pensions and things like that, I think this will really bring a big shift.
Okay.
And the preference, I think, will be more in that accessible way, where you can do it yourself. You don't need a financial advisor or banker. So
Indeed.
very, very long-winded answer, but I think it's coming. I really think people need to and have easier access. Sort of the the barriers to the financial markets have definitely come down, and you see
Yes.
that even just with ETF investments, and people put up or put in place savings plans and take an interest
Yeah.
because it's accessible, because you don't have to, you know, be intimidated by somebody who will teach you about the financial markets.
Yeah, everything with online digitalization, like being able, this kind of access makes it
Mm.
really more easier for users to buy and invest. It's
Yeah, and get the information as well. It's sort of on your
yes,
fingertips, or you know, now with
sure.
all the AI
Yes,
and GPTs that the whatever your preferred version is, you know, you can ask those questions where maybe you were too afraid to ask somebody at a bank, or you know, so
yeah. And the
it just
resources, yeah, online.
mm,
You have more
mm,
resources online to study and know first on
mm,
your own, and then make some choices then.
yeah, yeah.
That that's yes, indeed has changed. And I also had different conversation about like the generational shift, and that the younger generation will be more into that space by growing up already, and that will make a change for the space as well, because it will not be us like trying to build, but them coming in. And that's
Mhm. Yeah, no.
yes, it's very like growing with it. So it's
And I
yes,
mean, it's a generalization, but I see it. So just for my boys, or you know, like I said, with their classmates, to them it makes total sense. Like when you operate on one blockchain, I know Ethereum, you need
yeah,
Ether. When you use Solana, you use a different token. To them, it's not alien because, you know, take it from computer games. You try to buy something in Fortnite, you need one currency. You try to buy something in a different game, Roblox, you need another currency. So they kind of get it, and it's not this strange thing of like, oh, what is this, and why
yes.
would I need all these different tokens and currencies? So
Okay, yeah, that's nice to hear. That's very interesting to make the comparison with the gaming industry, which is very booming in that generation. So indeed, it makes sense as well for them that it's kind of integrated in how they grow up and like in their daily
mhm.
activities. Daily, I don't know if they do that daily, but they do.
Too
Um,
much, sadly.
Quite a lot, yes, of what I hear, quite a lot. But Isabel, thank you very much for sharing your views on the industry. I also want to highlight something from your part. It's your investment into gender equality and equity in your career. And I've seen that you are very active on at different levels, from board advisors to other organizations. And I would like to ask you, how have you seen the space evolving, and if there is any improvements?
Um, there, there are. Slowly, we could do more. Um, but and sometimes I feel, and this is a clear topic very close to my heart, but also, you know, a topic I spend a lot of time thinking about, because sometimes now the pendulum has swung too far the other way. Where, you know, when you bring up, and you know, this is a topic for a whole different podcast, I guess, you know, with Trump and DEI, and how all of a sudden it's sort of a dirty word. Um, no, I think, and what I say it swung too far is that instead of looking at the equity and the equal opportunities, people now feel disenfranchised. Or it's like, oh, it's all about women. But and you read those reports where white young men feel the most disenfranchised, and you hear those noises of, oh, we don't get any opportunities because it's either more females, or you need to be a different group, because otherwise you're disadvantaged. And do you know what, that on the one hand makes me really sad, but on the other hand is also like it's good to get that feedback, because this was not the intention ever.
Mhm.
It's not as to, in my mind, it's not a zero-sum game. It's not, okay, we bring up women and therefore the men need to be pushed down, anything silly like that. Or, you have diversity in so many different areas. You have,
Yeah.
of course, your cultural background, your educational background. You can slice and dice us as a population and, as individuals in so many ways. So I really think it is about the equality that matters, and just furthering everybody, in when you look at, you improve working conditions, or more, whatever example you want to use on the flexible working side, that benefits everybody. No, it's not just for
Yes.
women who have children. No, no, this is, for a single man who, I don't know, just wants to spend more time pursuing a hobby or side hustle or something like that. So, yeah, I don't know. I think here really we need to keep going. We in some cases need to change or adapt the narrative so it's not confrontational. It's inclusive. This, like I say,
Yeah.
it was never the intention of, us versus them kind of thing. Um, it needs work. It changes. Sometimes I also feel, because we have successes, coming back to more the gender topic, where I speak to young women and I said, why are you still going on about this? And I think this is great to hear, because clearly for you, it's not an issue. You feel like you have the same opportunities, which is great. But, it's also varies by industry. It also varies by jurisdiction, by country, by mindset, sometimes really by organization, how people approach the topic.
Yes, and this is what we also say always when we say let's go further together. It's about being complementary. It's about
Mhm.
helping each other, one gender with the other, not like one against the other, as you said, pushing away the other one. No, it's like about building together, but having everyone a
Mhm.
seat at the table. And that's the
Yeah.
importance of what we are also aiming at. I would like to ask you, is Web3 more inclusive in your view than other industries?
I would love to say yes, but sadly, I don't think so, because when you look at it, or in its current form, there are changes, because you have the best of technology and the best of finance, and you put it together. So when you have the Venn diagram, that's where crypto sits. And yeah, no, there are absolutely fantastic ladies in the industry, and there's more and more. Again, comes down to role models, comes down to, informing yourself of what it is, what are the opportunities. But like I said before, we have work to do. It's worth raising the topic, and this is why I love the fantastic work you do, and just to be really like, right, let's, be transparent, let's be open about it, and also inform each other what is going on, what are we doing.
Great. Yes, indeed. I would like also to ask you a last question, very quick, but what would be your wish for the future? What's your view on the future and what is you care deeply about?
um wow, the opportunities, so I spoke about some groups that feel really disenfranchised, and have kind of don't feel part of the future, or are really negative about it. I really think we need to address that, and really figure out, how can we change that. And another thing, and this is, I thought that was fascinating, this kind of a German thinker, philosopher, and recently I read something from him where he said we need more good arguments. Like
Hmm.
we've lost the art of having an argument, and with sort of political correctness and people feel like they can't say certain things. And of course, there's some red lines where, you really have to make sure people are not, well, some things are just not acceptable. But um, the process of exchanging views
Yeah.
and challenging each other, and I think we need more of that, and where we make it really clear, like I'm not commenting on you, Lorena, as a person, and I respect you and I really value your views, but we don't necessarily need to agree, and that's not a bad thing.
No,
So I
indeed.
really think we've lost some of that, or people, when you look at just I don't know, the political landscape in Europe, where you really have the extremes, and people go to those extremes because they feel like they can't voice their opinion. I
Hmm.
mean, it's a difficult subject, but I really feel we should be more um, braver or more confident to be able to raise that, and
I
because
think
I think
also
it would.
more tolerance now, because in terms of communicating with each other and building together and having different views, and it means also being able to listen to someone else and accept that someone else has a different opinion. So to be more tolerant and building together based on different views, it's okay. It's not like, as you said, we don't have to stand on two different extremes to say that we exist, or to we can collaborate from different angles, but we need to accept that we may have different opinions.
Totally agree. And it's about the respect. It's about the
Yes.
no, you're absolutely entitled to your own view, but we can still make this work.
So
So
more,
that
yes,
would be
more
my
communication,
my
more
wish.
tolerance, and more co-creation, let's say.
Mm, yeah, yeah.
That would be a nice word for the end. I thank you very much, Isabel, for being on the podcast today. It was really nice to hear from your journey, to hear what you have done and what you wish for the future. It's very inspiring, and I hope that we'll be able to meet again soon in person at some kind of events or in real life. But thank you very much for being here, Isabel.
Thank you so much. Such a pleasure. And yes, for sure, I will see you soon. All the
Thank you.
best.
Thanks.